While wine drunk with her friends, she said, I could do so much better than him. Marriage? No thanks. I was in the next room, setting up her surprise anniversary gift. I shut off the lights, took my gift back, and left without a sound. The next day, one of her friends DM'd me. She's been crying since last night. You did the right thing. Hey viewers, before we move on to the video, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you want to see more stories like this. Thanks. The box in my hand felt heavier than it actually was. Inside sat a custom-designed platinum band with 3 diamonds, one for our past, one for our present, and the largest one for the future I thought we were building. Beside it, tucked into my jacket pocket, were 2 first-class tickets to the Amalfi Coast. It was our 5th anniversary, 5 years of building, saving, and grinding. I had left work 3 hours early, telling my secretary I had a family emergency, which was technically true if you consider surprising your wife an emergency of the heart. I parked my car, a sensible, paid-off sedan, down the street so Elena wouldn't see it in the driveway. I wanted the element of total surprise. I wanted to walk in, see her face light up, and finally give her the luxury she always hinted she deserved. I let myself in through the back door of the house I paid the mortgage on. It was a Tuesday, which meant wine night. Usually, I'd make myself scarce on Tuesdays, staying late at the office or hitting the gym so Elena and her circle could vent about work, life, and whatever reality TV show they were obsessed with. But today was different. Today was the anniversary. The house was dim, lit only by the expensive candles I'd bought her last Christmas. I could hear them in the living room, the clinking of glass, the raucous laughter, the distinct sound of inhibitions dissolving in Pinot Grigio. I crept through the kitchen, smiling like an idiot. I was about to walk into the hallway when I heard my name. Mark? Oh please. Mark isn't going to care if I'm late tonight. Elena's voice floated through the air. It wasn't affectionate. It was dismissive, a tone I'd heard her use with telemarketers, not her husband. He's probably still at that soul-sucking office crunching numbers, her friend Jessica cackled. Jessica was single, perpetually in a complicated situation with a married man, and generally miserable. God, how do you deal with it, Elena? He's so vanilla. I froze. My hand tightened around the velvet box. I waited for Elena to defend me. I waited for her to say, he works hard for us, or he's the most loyal man I know. Instead, I heard the sound of wine being poured. Vanilla is putting it kindly, Jess, Elena said, and the slur in her voice told me she was already 2 bottles deep. Mark is safe. He's a Honda Civic. Reliable. Gets you from A to B. Doesn't break down. Safe is good though, right? This was Sarah. Sarah was the quiet one. The only one in the group who seemed to have a moral compass. He loves you, El. He bought you that car. He pays for everything. Sarah, sweetie, stop being such a pragmatist. Elena snapped, her voice sharpening. Yes, he pays the bills. That's what husbands are for. But does he set me on fire? No. Does he walk into a room and command attention? No. He walks into a room and asks if anyone needs a coaster. The room erupted in laughter. My stomach turned to lead. I stood there in the dark hallway, the smell of her expensive perfume drifting toward me, feeling like an intruder in my own life. I need a wolf, Elena continued, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that I could hear perfectly clearly. Not a golden retriever. Look at Ryan for marketing. Now that is a man. My blood ran cold. Ryan, the guy she'd mentioned casually a few times. The work friend who helped her with presentations. Ryan, Jessica asked, sounding intrigued. The one with the jagged scar? The same, Elena purred. We had lunch today. The way he looks at me, it's primal. He makes me feel like I'm 22 again. If Ryan actually made a move, like a real move, I don't know if I'd have the willpower to say no. Honestly, I feel like I settled with Mark. I panicked because I was almost 30 and he was there, holding a ring, looking like a safe bet. You didn't settle, you got stability, Sarah interjected weakly. Stability is boring, Sarah, Elena shouted, slamming her glass down on the table. My grandmother's antique coffee table, I noted numbly. I'm suffocating in stability. I look at Mark and I just see mediocrity. I could do so much better than him. Marriage? No thanks. If I could do it over, I'd stay single, play the field, and land a guy like Ryan who actually excites me. But now I'm stuck playing house with a man who thinks a wild night is ordering spicy Thai food. So leave him, Jessica challenged. There was a pause. A long, heavy silence. I can't, Elena sighed, the cruelty in her voice replaced by a cold, calculating practicality that hurt worse than the insults. I have the lease, the car payments, the student loans. Mark handles all of that. I can't leave until I secure something better. Ryan hasn't committed yet. Until he does, I have to play the part of the happy wife. It's our anniversary today, actually. I have to pretend to like whatever thoughtful, boring gift he got me. You're terrible, Jessica laughed, but it was an admiring laugh. I'm realistic, Elena said. Cheers to the stepping stones, ladies. Clink. I didn't storm in. I didn't kick down the door and scream at her. I didn't throw the wine in her face or demand an explanation. In that moment, standing in the shadows of the hallway, the Mark she knew died. The golden retriever she mocked was put down. A strange, icy calm washed over me. It was the clarity of absolute devastation. I looked at the velvet box in my hand. The ring inside was worth 3 months of my salary. The tickets in my pocket were non-refundable, but transferable. I realized then that she didn't see me as a person. She saw me as a utility, a walking ATM with a pulse. She was biding her time, waiting for a wolf to come along so she could discard me like a used tissue. I slowly backed away. I moved with the silence of a ghost. I stepped backward through the kitchen, careful not to creak the floorboards. I reached the back door, opened it with agonizing slowness, and slipped out into the cool night air. I walked to my car parked down the street. My hands weren't shaking. My heart wasn't racing. I felt nothing but a hollow, vibrating void where my love used to be. I sat in the driver's seat and looked at the house. I could see the glow of the living room window. I could see her silhouette moving around, animated, alive, mocking the life I had built for us. I placed the ring box in the glove compartment and locked it. I pulled out my phone. Contact, Elena. Blocked. Contact, Jessica. Blocked. I started the engine. It purred to life, reliable, steady, just like she hated. I didn't go to a friend's house. I didn't go to a bar to drink away the pain. I drove straight to the sleek, downtown hotel I had booked for our romantic weekend staycation that was supposed to start tomorrow. I walked up to the front desk. Checking in, the receptionist asked, smiling. Yes, I said, my voice steady. And I'd like to upgrade to the presidential suite, please. Just for one. Just one, sir. Yeah, I said, handing over my credit card, the one Elena was an authorized user on. I made a mental note to cancel her card in the morning. My wife couldn't make it. She's busy entertaining friends. I went up to the room, ordered a steak and a double whiskey, and sat by the window looking out over the city lights. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I simply waited for the morning and the inevitable fallout of a utility that had suddenly and permanently been shut off. I slept like a baby. It was the deep, dreamless sleep of a man who had been carrying a heavy rucksack up a mountain for 5 years, only to suddenly drop it off a cliff. When I woke up, the high thread count sheets of the presidential suite felt like a cocoon. I ordered room service, eggs Benedict, black coffee, and fresh fruit, before I even looked at my phone. I wanted to enjoy the silence a little longer. At 10 a.m., I finally turned my phone back on. It vibrated violently on the nightstand, a seizure of notifications that lasted for a full 2 minutes. 47 missed calls from Elena, 12 missed calls from Jessica, 3 missed calls from Elena's mom, and a barrage of texts that painted a perfect picture of her emotional state. 11:30 p.m. Where are you? The girls just left. 12:15 a.m. This isn't funny, Mark. It's our anniversary. 1:45 a.m. Did you really go back to the office? You're unbelievable. 3 a.m. I'm scared. Please answer. 7:30 a.m. Jessica drove by your office. Your car isn't there. Where the hell are you? 8:15 a.m. You were being a child. Come home. She hadn't realized I'd been in the house. She just thought I was being my usual boring self, working late or being inconsiderate. She was angry, not remorseful. She felt entitled to my presence even while she was actively planning to replace me. Then, I saw a notification from Instagram. A direct message request from Sarah. I opened it. Sarah, Mark, I don't know if you'll read this, but when I left last night, I saw your car pulling away from down the street. You were there, weren't you? You heard what she said. I feel sick about it. I should have shut it down, but I was a coward. She's been crying all morning, not because she thinks she lost you, but because she thinks you're punishing her by staying out all night. She doesn't know you heard the Ryan stuff. But honestly, you did the right thing walking away. She doesn't deserve the loyalty you give her. Don't go back. I stared at the screen. Validation. Cold, hard proof that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't overreacting. Sarah, the quiet one, had just handed me the smoking gun. I didn't reply to Sarah. I didn't want to drag her into the crossfire. Instead, I opened my banking app. Elena had a supplementary credit card on my account. It was for groceries and emergencies, but usually ended up funding her Sephora hauls and wine Wednesdays. Status: active. Click. Cancelled. Next, I transferred half of the joint savings, exactly my contribution plus interest, into my personal high-yield account. I left her share. I wasn't a thief. I was just closing the bank. 10 minutes later, my phone rang. It was Elena. I answered. Finally, her voice was shrill, a mix of panic and fury. Do you have any idea how embarrassed I was? My parents called to wish us a happy anniversary, and I had to lie and say you were in the shower. Where are you? I'm at a hotel, I said. My voice was calm, unsettlingly calm. A hotel? Why? Mark, if this is about me venting to the girls, you need to grow up. We were just blowing off steam. You know how Jessica gets. She riles everyone up. I heard you, Elena. The line went dead silent. The kind of silence that sucks the air out of a room. I what? She stammered, her voice dropping an octave. I was in the hallway. I continued, stating facts like I was reading a quarterly report. I came home early to surprise you. I had the ring. I had the tickets to Italy. And I heard you say I was a stepping stone. I heard you say you wanted a wolf. I heard you say you'd leave me for Ryan if he asked. Mark, baby, no. She started crying immediately, the weaponized tears I had seen her use to get out of speeding tickets. I was drunk. It was just talk. You know I love you. I was just trying to fit in with Jessica. It didn't mean anything. It meant everything. I said. You call me a Honda Civic. Reliable. Safe. Boring. I didn't mean it like that. I know exactly how you meant it. And you were right. I am reliable. Which is why I'm reliably informing you that we are done. Done. She laughed, a nervous, hysterical sound. You can't be serious. Over one conversation? Mark, we're married. You can't just throw away 5 years. You threw it away the moment you compared me to another man in our own home, I said. I just canceled the credit card. I'm contacting the landlord today. The lease is up in 30 days. I suggest you start packing or call Ryan. Maybe he has room in his den for a wolf. Mark, stop. You're scaring me. You can't do this. I'm not doing anything to you, Elena. I'm just removing the safety net so you can fly. I hung up. Then I blocked her number again. I stared at the phone for a second, waiting for the pain to hit. But it didn't. Instead, I felt lighter. I felt like I had just taken off a pair of shoes that were 2 sizes too small. The next 3 months were a study in cause and effect. I didn't ghost her completely. That's childish. I communicated strictly through email regarding the logistics of the separation. I hired a lawyer who specialized in no-nonsense dissolutions. Since we rented and didn't have kids, the split was surgical. I let her keep the furniture. I didn't want the memories. While I was methodically dismantling our life, Elena was frantically trying to spin the narrative. According to mutual friends, who I eventually had to mute on social media, Elena had entered her empowerment era. She posted quotes about outgrowing spaces and refusing to settle for mediocrity. She tried to make it look like she had left me. She went straight for Ryan. Of course she did. She was free now. The boring husband was gone, and she was ready to be claimed by the wolf. It played out almost exactly as I had predicted, though the speed of the crash surprised even me. Ryan, it turned out, was 28, leased a BMW he couldn't afford, and had a roster of women he rotated through like seasonal tires. He enjoyed the chase. He enjoyed the idea of sleeping with a married woman. But the moment Elena showed up at his door with luggage, looking for a passionate connection and a place to crash because her husband had cut off the funding, the wolf turned out to be a coyote, scavenging, skittish, and uninterested in responsibility. I heard the details from Sarah, who checked in on me occasionally. He slept with her for 2 weeks, Sarah told me over coffee one afternoon. Then he told her she was too intense and that he wasn't looking for anything serious. He ghosted her, Mark. Literal ghosting. Blocked her on everything. That's unfortunate, I said, taking a sip of my espresso. I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. It was just a fact. Gravity pulls things down. Ryan pulls women down. It's physics. She's staying with Jessica now, Sarah continued, grimacing. And you know how Jessica is. She loves the drama, but she hates sharing her space. They're already fighting. Elena is realizing that freedom is expensive. It was true. Without my income, the math of Elena's life didn't work. She worked as a mid-level coordinator at a marketing firm. Her salary covered her student loans, her car lease, and maybe her brunch habit. It did not cover rent in our city, utilities, insurance, and the lifestyle she felt entitled to. She had called me financially boring. She was learning that boring meant solvent. Meanwhile, I was busy engaging in some reconstruction of my own. I took the money I would have spent on the Italy trip and hired a personal trainer. I wasn't fat, but I was dad bod soft. I told the trainer I wanted to be able to deadlift my previous emotional baggage. I started going to the gym at 5 a.m. every day. The physical pain was grounding. It replaced the emotional dullness. Within 3 months, I had dropped 20 pounds of fat and put on 10 of muscle. My suit started fitting differently. My jawline, which had been hiding under a layer of comfort eating, reappeared. I also buried myself in work. But not the safe work Elena mocked. I took risks. I pitched a high-stakes merger strategy to the partners, a wolfish move I usually would have shied away from. They loved it. I was promoted to senior director within the quarter. Suddenly, I was making 40% more money, looking 100% better, and carrying 0% of the dead weight I had been dragging around for half a decade. I started noticing women noticing me. It was strange at first. I was used to being the invisible husband. But now, when I walked into a bar or a meeting, heads turned. I wasn't just reliable anymore. I was competent, fit, and radiated the dangerous confidence of a man who no longer needed anyone's validation. I went on a few dates. Nothing serious. Just dinner, conversation, and the realization that I wasn't vanilla. I was just with the wrong person. One night, about 5 months post-split, I was out at a rooftop lounge with a date, a pediatric surgeon named Claire. She was brilliant, funny, and beautiful. We were laughing about something stupid when my phone lit up on the table. Blocked number. I knew who it was. She had been trying to bypass the block for weeks, using different apps and friends' phones. I silenced it without breaking eye contact with Claire. X? Claire asked, raising an eyebrow. Ancient history, I said. But history has a way of repeating itself if you don't close the book. And Elena wasn't done trying to rewrite the ending. A week later, I got an email. Not from her personal account, but from her work email, sent to my work email, so I couldn't block it without IT involvement. Subject, please read. I'm sorry. Mark, I know you hate me. I know I messed up. Ryan was a mistake. I was having a midlife crisis early, I think. I let Jessica get in my head. I miss you. I miss us. I miss our home. I'm sleeping on Jessica's couch, and it smells like cat pee, and I just want my husband back. I realized that what I called boring was actually peace. Please, can we just get coffee? Just 10 minutes. I need to see you. I read it twice. The old Mark, the golden retriever, would have felt a pang of sympathy. He would have remembered her crying, remembered the good times, and thought about rescuing her. But the new Mark? The Mark who had forged himself in the fire of her betrayal? I didn't feel sympathy. I felt a profound sense of irony. She didn't miss me. She missed the house. She missed the car payments. She missed the peace that my wallet provided. She had jumped from the safety of the ship into the ocean, realized she couldn't swim, and was now mad that I hadn't thrown her a life preserver. I didn't reply to the email, but I knew she wouldn't stop. Narcissists don't handle silence well. It challenges their existence. If I didn't give her a final, definitive no, she would haunt the periphery of my life forever. I decided to give her what she wanted. One final meeting. Not to reconcile, but to let her see, with her own eyes, exactly what she had thrown away. I replied, Starbucks on 4th and Main. Tuesday. 6 p.m. 10 minutes. It was time to close the deal. I arrived at 6 p.m. on the dot. Punctuality is a habit of successful people, and I was feeling very successful. I spotted Elena immediately. She was sitting at a corner table, nursing a latte. The visual contrast between the woman I had left 5 months ago and the woman sitting there now was jarring. The old Elena was polished, manicured, and radiant with the confidence of someone whose life was fully subsidized. This Elena looked frayed. Her roots were showing, a harsh line of dark against the expensive blonde highlights I used to pay for. She was wearing a sweater I recognized, but it looked worn, and her shoulders were hunched in a defensive posture. I, on the other hand, was wearing a tailored navy suit I'd bought for the board meeting that morning. I felt the kind of calm power that comes from having zero secrets and zero debts. I walked over. She looked up, and her eyes widened. "Mark," she breathed. She stood up to hug me, reaching out instinctively. I didn't move forward. I didn't open my arms. I just stood there, hands in my pockets, creating a wall of invisible glass between us. "Sit down, Elena," I said. My tone was polite, but it was the politeness you use with a stranger who is cut in line. She froze, her arms dropping awkwardly to her sides. She sat back down. I took the seat opposite her. "You look incredible," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "You've been working out? You look like you did in college." "Better, actually. I have a lot of free time now that I'm not managing a dependent," I said. She flinched. "Mark, please, don't be like that. I know you're hurt." "I'm not hurt," I corrected her. "I'm indifferent. You asked for 10 minutes. You have 9 left." She took a shaky breath, wrapping her hands around the coffee cup as if it were the only thing anchoring her to the earth. "Okay, look, I messed up. I know I did. I got confused. Jessica." She got in my head. She made me feel like I was missing out on life. She made me feel like our stability was a cage. But I see now that it wasn't a cage, it was a foundation. She reached across the table again, trying to find my hand. I moved mine to pick up my water. "I miss you, Mark," she continued, tears welling up in her eyes. "I miss us. I miss our Sunday mornings. I miss the way you make coffee. I miss feeling safe." He was a mistake. A stupid, reckless mistake. But people make mistakes, right? We've been together 5 years. Doesn't that mean anything? Can't we just hit reset? I looked at her. Really looked at her. I searched for the love I used to feel. I looked for the spark that would make me want to save her. There was nothing. Just a dull recognition of a person I used to know. "You didn't miss me when you were in bed with Ryan," I said. Her face went pale. I was trying to get over you. I was hurting." "No, Elena, you weren't hurting. You were monkey branching. You thought you had a firm grip on the next branch, so you let go of me. But the branch snapped. That's the only reason we're sitting here. If Ryan had been rich and committed, you wouldn't be here. You'd be planning a wedding." "That's not true," she hissed, her sadness flashing into that familiar anger. "I love you." "You love the lifestyle," I said simply. "You're living on Jessica's couch. You're broke. You're realizing that the boring Honda Civic actually carried the entire weight of your existence. And now you have to walk." "So that's it," she snapped, her mask slipping completely. "You're just going to punish me forever? You're going to be this cold, heartless robot? I'm drowning, Mark. I can barely afford gas. I'm your wife." "Ex-wife," I said. "The papers were finalized yesterday. Your lawyer should have called you." She stared at me, her mouth slightly open. The fight drained out of her, replaced by pure terror. "You signed them?" she whispered. "I did. But I thought we could fix this." "Elena," I leaned forward slightly. "Do you remember what you said that night? The night of our anniversary?" She looked down. "I was drunk. You said I could do so much better than him." She flinched again. "I thought about that a lot," I said. "For weeks, it ate me alive." I looked in the mirror and wondered why I wasn't enough. Why my loyalty wasn't enough. Why my love wasn't enough. I paused, letting the noise of the coffee shop fill the silence. But then I realized something. I said softly, "You were right." Her head snapped up, hope flickering in her eyes. Yes, you were right. You said you could do better. And the truth is, so could I. The hope died in her eyes, instantly replaced by shock. I realized I could do better than a partner who mocks me to her friends. I said, my voice steady and surgical. I could do better than someone who views my loyalty as a weakness. I could do better than someone who needs a wolf to feel validated because she's too empty to validate herself. I checked my watch. That's 10 minutes. I stood up. "Mark, wait." She scrambled up, knocking her chair back. "You can't just leave me here. I have nowhere to go. Jessica is kicking me out next week. I have nothing. I looked at her one last time. You have your freedom, Elena. You wanted to be single. You wanted passion. You wanted the unpredictability of the wolf. I buttoned my suit jacket. Now you have it. Good luck. I walked out of the Starbucks and into the crisp evening air. I didn't look back. I knew if I did, I would see her crying in the window, a portrait of consequences she never thought she'd have to pay. But looking back is for people who aren't sure where they're going. I walked a block down to where I'd valeted my car. Not the sedan. I had traded that in 2 months ago. I was driving a coupe now, sporty, fast, a little impractical. A car for a man who didn't have to worry about hauling someone else's baggage. As I waited for the valet, my phone buzzed. It was a text from Claire. Claire, surgery ran late, but I'm free. Dinner at 8? I know a place that has terrible service, but amazing wine. I smiled. Mark, perfect. I'm on my way. The valet pulled up. I tipped him $20, slid into the driver's seat, and connected my phone. The music swelled, something upbeat, something alive. As I merged into traffic, I passed the Starbucks one last time. Through the glass, I saw Elena. She was on her phone, frantically typing, probably texting Jessica or her mother, or searching for the next Ryan to save her. She looked small. She looked irrelevant. For 5 years, I had tried to be the hero of her story. I had tried to be the rock, the provider, the safety net. And she had despised me for it. She wanted a challenge? She got one. Life, without the buffer of a good man. She wanted to do better? She was welcome to try. But as I shifted gears and accelerated onto the highway, leaving the city and her behind me, I knew the truth. She had gone looking for a wolf, only to realize too late that she had abandoned the only lion who would have ever protected her. I didn't hate her anymore. I didn't love her anymore. I just didn't think about her at all. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. What do you think about this story? Share it in the comments.